I am a 100-year-old human and a World War II veteran. I want to share my life and experiences with people who might be helped by them. Ask me anything. What was the most tense moment of your life? When I stepped forward to get married. No kidding. Just briefly, I thought I was gonna faint when the pastor asked those questions. Living 100 years, what was the biggest leap of technology that you've experienced? What seemed the most unreal when it came out? The artillery guns and others were equipped with equipment that could detect when other objects were nearby and go off even though it had not been aimed at. That technology was used also for ground fire. There was a time during the Pacific part of the war that US forces did not know where the Japanese fleet was. The CO of the 8th photo, which was also in my general area, was flying on a photo mission and saw the Japanese fleet. He hightailed his way home squawking on his radio. The radios was good for 35 miles. That resulted in a US Navy dealing with the Japanese fleet, both air and navy. Thanks for joining us on Reddit today. My question: have you been to Germany or Japan since the war? What were your thoughts? The wife and I have been to Germany since for vacation. I've been to Japan since in regard to FDA regulations. Just looking at their food habits and their environment, just appreciating what they had. Is there anything from his younger days that he truly regrets doing not doing to this day? Regret not marrying Audrey earlier. Laughs. Audrey was his wife. I recently came across a show box full of letters that my great-grandparents wrote to each other during WWII. Did you have anyone you were writing sweetheart letters to? For general letters, just a few people I met in the service. Air Force for sweetheart, there was a girl in Studer Hall every other seat in the auditorium. I liked her very much. She had a Spanish book. I looked to the other side of me. Another girl had a dictionary. I used her dictionary to write to the first one. She thought I knew Spanish but I didn't. She was mad at me. What was his favorite plane that he got to photograph? WWII or anything afterwards? And thank you for your service, sir. P-38 fighter photo. The fighter aircraft was used mainly in Europe area. The photo area was used to take the gums out, put in 2 or 3 sets of cameras, and the print negatives that were produced were 18 inches wide and 9 inches deep. Most of those photos were made around 20,000 feet, so that gives you the scale for how you want to measure it. The P-38 was used somewhat in the Pacific. The P-38 was an escort for the bombers, but it was mainly recognized as a fighter plane. But around Europe, big river there, they put 150 and 300 pound bombs and made them into bombers, because the Germans would look up, oh they're just taking photos, and kaboom. What did you do in the years after the war? Was it directly back to school or something else? Got my license in pharmacy, saw recruitment for FDA and joined them, and traveled to see how other people lived. How's it like watching your children actually grow old? A great delight. I have 2 questions that I would love to hear the perspective of an aged gentleman on. 1. What was it like when you learned of the atomic bomb? This is such a huge turning point in human history that I can't help but imagine the ramifications must have felt huge. 2. Similar to question 1. What was it like when you learned that humans had walked on the moon? Both of these, the GOM and the moon, are things we take for granted now, but at the time they must have been a massive paradigm shift. Can you share your thoughts? Many thanks for your time, and for your service. It was a fantastic illustration of science. He says he wasn't scared about the GOM because people did not understand what the atomic bomb was. Very surprising illustration of science. He was in Mount Baker, Washington. He didn't watch it at the time, but the word got out. Don't drive faster than 35 miles per hour. Boy, it took forever to get home. The state made a law change, save gasoline and avoid accidents. He heard about it later on. Was the food you ate at war any good? Some was not. Mainly getting used to the lamb. Thank you so much for your service. Can you tell me who your favorite president was in your lifetime? Hoover. He was not very popular, but he was a good president. Just what you'd read about him, that's all. That's all you have to go on. What kind of camera did he work with during WWII? Did photography always feel like work, or was it ever fun a hobby? Started with Kodak box camera. Then moved to 35mm, can't remember the name. Then got a press camera, 4x5 prints. It was a fun hobby even at work. To make people realize what was involved. Certain things we did, we used blacklight crayons, and particularly we photographed with the backlight rodents path, mice and rats, and we can show that later how they damaged food that was in storage. I'll explain more on that later. What's one thing that you remember from your experiences that doesn't fail to make you smile? Whenever he talks about his late wife, Audrey, there is a light that illuminates his entire being. He loved her so much. She died a little after I was born, so I didn't get to know her unfortunately. His calendar in his bedroom is still on the month year that she died. She was very dear to him. Firstly, thanks for your service. What are the 3 things you learned in your life, traveling and encountering the cruelness of WW2? What are those 3 advices you would give your grandchildren? When you see something you don't understand, then use whatever research situation you have to find out more about it and how it can help you in your life. Also, how to find a beautiful blonde wife, laughs. Did you ever smoke tobacco? Only on specific assignments of undercover work. At medical appointments I've taken him to. For the questionnaire he's always said never. I guess it took a stranger asking to find the truth. What did you eat to get to 100 years old? A lot of oysters. I'll put his more rambling answers to questions that haven't been asked yet. Haha. During the war with Japan, there was periods of time that the Navy would set forth on the map a 30-mile stay-out area, and it was such we had to go back in and photograph it, but in the meantime we photographed outside of the 30-mile radius. When I say we, I mean the photo planes. Flight was in the area to fill in the 30-mile circle that hadn't been photographed when the president announced the bombing of Hiroshima. Right after the president announced, everyone was scrambling to see what flight foreign air would bring back, because our cameras were used to make pictures 18 inches wide 9 inches deep. In Europe they use the same camera with a lens arrangement taking 5 inches square for wherever they were flying. And so the word came down to Myra Paterman and me that our cameras better not fail this time because they had longer service periods than those in Europe. In the theater, we thought those photographs were very restricted. Within less than several weeks, our pictures were in some of the public photo magazines. The Japanese had invaded some western part of the Philippines. The photo planes photographed where they were. Prints were made, all large size, at least 8 by 10 or larger, and they were asked to deliver by air to the ground troops near the Japanese. The first attempt at that, they dropped a package of them, but it got torn up, so they asked for further prints, and they said this time. The P-30 photos took pictures. The first picture stopped, did HT photo work, took the pie. They put a red flag on a pole, please see if you can come close to it. The pilot who came knocked the red flag down. He radioed back, is that close enough? During college, I was in pharmacy and the Baptist church rented a room where once a week people could gather there and have a fish and chip lunch for 35 cents. I graduated in high school in 1937, was one of the few boys in a school of 300 that had his own car. That's because I went out and got a job delivering papers that I enjoyed doing. Several things I learned from the gas station. There was a fella that had a Cadillac Oldsmobile and every time he went somewhere it would squeak. The dealers tried to fix it but I figured out what to do due to my dad's suggestion to me to figure out how something works then do it. That way I can give help to my dad, my father-in-law, and other people I knew. His dad was very mechanically oriented. Most shocking thing you photographed in WWII that you did not expect. Let's not put it on what I photographed. In Normandy, of all the areas that photo planes did, was the total area that they put into pictures. That ended up in something like 10,000 total prints. We'll add something later on, he says. Has reaching 10 decades given you any new insight? The world is a mess, laughs. I may want to modify that answer later. What is the best joke you've heard? He says he has to think about it. The man upstairs is watching out for you, taking care of you, and he hasn't decided whether he wants to bring you upstairs or not. This was when he was at church with some pastors discussing his age, and one of the pastors came up with this singer, and now he tells everyone it.